Top rated book on Amazon is The Mental Handbook. You want the physical book? This one right here for free. Click the link below and let's get to work on your game.
DreAllDay.com.
What's going on, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. What I want to talk to you about today is taking action before you seek advice. I get people who come to me all the time, athletes, business owners, business professionals, people who want to be business owners, people who want to be athletes, and they say, well, Dre, I'm thinking about doing this. Can you give me some advice? Or Dre, I was looking into doing this. Can you give me some tips? Or Dre, I heard about doing this and I think I might get involved next week, next month, next year. Can you tell me what are some of the best ways to go about it? And I'm not just talking to athletes here. I'm not just talking to you 12-year-old basketball players who are about to go to tryouts for the first time. There are people 35 years old who come to me like, Dre, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Can you give me some advice? Or Dre, I'm thinking about starting my own business. I'm thinking about selling this product. I'm thinking about I should start blogging and making YouTube videos. What should I do? And this is grown people, adults, people my grandma's age come to me with questions like that. And people who I'm old enough to be their father come to me with questions like that. So it's not just any one group of people that I'm talking to here. I'm talking to everybody. You must take action before you seek advice. And I'm going to give you reasons. I'm going to give you 4 reasons why you need to start taking action before you seek advice. Before I even get into that, let me tell you why this is important. I'm going to tell you why this is an important point. What you have to understand is one of the number one traits of leadership. And I think if you're watching this video, you're a leader, or at least you want to be a leader. You're a leader in training. Number one traits of leadership, first one is decision making. Leaders make decisions quickly. They make decisions quickly, and this is the second thing they do. Once they make a decision, they act on that decision. Because a decision is not a real decision until some action is taken behind it. Because I could sit here and say, you know what, I've decided that I'm going to move to California. I'm going to move to Los Angeles. I could decide anything that I want. But until I take some action, like I go make some calls and go call a realtor and go find a place and put a down payment on that place, listen, I ain't really made it. This is not a real decision. A real decision is followed by action. And this is what leaders do. So if you consider yourself to be a leader, and my conversations are only for people who are leaders. I don't really speak to followers. My conversations are for leaders. If you happen to be the follower type, listen, you feel free to watch and listen to whatever content I put out that you want, but it's not really made for you. So if you don't really understand the language that I'm speaking, there's a reason for that. But if you happen to be a leader, this conversation is for you. Leaders make decisions and they take action. Leader, I didn't say anything about seeking advice. I didn't say anything about gathering more information. I didn't say anything about figuring out what are the best practices. Leaders make decisions and they take action. So if you consider yourself to be a leader, you need to start doing these 2 things immediately. You need to make a decision right now to start taking more action. Pretty much is what you can do. Now, another thing that I want to explain to you all about taking action is that the more action you take, the more results you get. Do we all agree with that? Even if you have no idea what you're doing, you don't know nothing. The more action you take, the more results you get. When I wanted to start a professional basketball career, I graduated from college, Penn State Altoona. That's a D3 school in 2004. I wanted to go pro and play basketball overseas. I had no idea how to do it. The internet was around, but it wasn't nothing like it is now. It wasn't a whole bunch of YouTube videos with 30 different people talking about the topic from their own perspectives. It wasn't a bunch of blog posts. It wasn't websites. It wasn't people self-publishing books and talking about it. No, none of that existed. It wasn't no podcast. None of that existed. There was no person, no guru I could Google and then email them and get them to reply to me. It wasn't no Snapchat. None of that existed. So I didn't have access to all this information. And even if I did, I'm the type of person, since I'm talking about this, I'm the type of person who takes action. Even if I don't know nothing, I'm gonna just take some action. I don't care if it's messed up, if it's whack, if it gets no response. At least now I know what I did wrong and I can go back and I can fix it and fix it and fix it. And every time I try something and it doesn't work, you know what I gain? I gain experience. And you know what experience is worth? It's worth a lot, because all the people in the world, 95% of people in the world are, let me go get some information before I do something. 95% of people are forever on a quest for more information, more tips, more knowledge, more best practices before they do anything, and most of them never do anything. So they're always seeking this advice. You know who they seek that advice from? People who have experience. People like me, people who've taken action, people like you, people who took action. You don't have any experience if you haven't taken any action. You can't stand up on a stage and say, well, look, when I first started my business, everything was successful and it worked from the beginning because I gathered all this information, got all the best practices, and the first thing I did was just perfect and everything worked out. Nobody can relate to you. Nobody understands that. Nobody wants to hear it because nobody's going to think that they can do the same thing. But the people who get on stage and they say, look, I tried the first thing, it was terrible, nobody bought it, I tried to make the team, it didn't work out, I tried to go overseas, I got no traction, I tried to make some money, I didn't make no money. Guess what? Everybody can relate to that because everybody knows what it feels like to start from nothing and not have any idea, not do anything right. That's what people relate to. That's what people pay for. They pay for that experience. So if you want to be a business person, and all of you need to be business people, otherwise you're going to be working for somebody else's business for very low wages. You want to be a business person, you got to gain experience. People pay money for experience. A coach, a consultant, a trainer, an expert, a guru, a speaker, experience. That's what makes them that. The experiences that they have, not the books that they read. The books matter, but not the books. Not just the people they know. The people matter, but it's not the people, it's the experience. Because if I read 1,000,000 books, but I have no actual experience doing anything, what value do I have to offer you? I ain't got nothing to offer you because I haven't done anything. I can stand up here and talk about it because I know what it feels like to take action without information, and I get the information through taking the action. And I'm gonna get to that in a moment. So as I was saying, 2004, I wanted to start a pro basketball career. I had no idea who, when, where, what, how, nothing. But I went and took action. I heard that there was a tryout for some minor league. I went to the tryout. I had no idea about anything. I didn't Google what should I expect at tryouts. I didn't go YouTube, hey, what do the coaches look for at tryouts? It's fucking basketball. They look for people who can fucking play. That's what they look for. I didn't need to Google that. Ain't nobody had to tell me that. Don't you play basketball? You understand that, don't you? Oh, but you need more information. You need advice. Oh, I need some help. Oh, I don't know what to expect at tryouts. You shouldn't know what to expect. Can you play? All right, then go there and show up and do your thing. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't need advice on that. That's what I did. Again, I'm not telling you stuff that I've read in a book. I'm not telling you something that I heard somebody else say. I'm telling you what I know from my own experience. And I only got the experience because I took action before I got the information. So again, back to the story. I didn't know anything about playing basketball overseas. I heard it was a tryout, went to the tryout. It was like 3 people at the tryout. Actually, it was 4 dudes at the tryout. One dude was so out of shape. The first drill we did was like a full court drill. He was so out of shape that he quit the tryout after the first drill because he wasn't in shape. So the tryout was 3 people. We was in there playing one-on-one. We was in there playing knockout, doing shooting drills. That was the whole tryout. Then they said, we're going to have another tryout. It's probably going to be more people at this tryout. So the next tryout, I told one of my mans about it. Me and my man went to the tryout. And at that tryout, it was 3 people. Me, my man, and one other dude. This is a real story. I've never even told this story. One other dude at the tryout, 3 people. They said, we're going to have another tryout. Come to this tryout. I guarantee there's going to be more people. Y'all ain't even got to pay for this one because y'all came to this one. Y'all ain't got to pay. We went to the next tryout. It was 200 people at the tryout. 200 people at the tryout. And it was so many people that the 2 coaches that was there there's no way they could evaluate everybody at the same time and let everybody get on the court. We had 1 court, and I didn't even end up making that team, long story short. That was 2004. Went a whole year working, regular jobs, 2005. Next year, went to another camp, did my thing at that camp. That was my first YouTube video. If you look back to my first ever video, some of that footage is from my first ever camp. Actually, I put the whole game footage out. It's on YouTube now. I put the whole footage out from all the games that I played at that camp off of VHS tape, so it's grainy, but it is on YouTube. That's how I started my career. No Google, no advice, no best practices, no emailing somebody and letting them tell me what to do. I just went and did it. I went and took action. And guess what? You know what I do now? Go to Google and Google overseas basketball. Tell me what you see. Go Google how overseas basketball works. Tell me what you see. You see my name. Why? Because I did it. I took the actions. I got the experience. And that's how I got the information. That's how I can share it. You go on Amazon, look up books on playing basketball overseas. Tell me what you see. You go on YouTube, look up playing basketball overseas. Tell me what you see. And eventually, I'm going to create this. You're going to go on podcasts. You're going to look up playing basketball overseas. I got something coming for y'all. Tell me what you see. Now, this is not just about playing ball. Again, this could be about different topics. There's other topics I'm going to make similar content about in the future. But the reason I'm telling you this, not to impress you, but to impress upon you, is taking action that led me to the point where I had the information. So I'm going to give you some points on this. And before I do that, let me ask you one more question. I want you to think about this. So it's not just coming from my mouth. Ask yourself this question. Who are the most, let's say the 3 to 5 most successful people you know? All right, think of who they are. 3 to 5 most successful people. Let's just say 3. The 3 most successful people you know in life. Who are those people? Just think about that. Who are the 3 most successful people you know, right? Now that you're thinking about that, ask yourself this question. Separate question. Who are the 3 most action-oriented people you know? Who are the 3 people you know who take the most action? Like, they just do stuff. They don't always wait for the information. They don't wait for the time to be right. They don't wait for somebody to get them the green light. They just do it. Who are the 3 most action-oriented people you know? Question, are they the same people? Is the question to answer 1, the question to answer 2, the same people? Probably two of the same people, maybe one of the same people, or maybe probably all three of them are the same people. As far as I know, you ask me that question, the answer is absolutely. The three most successful people I know are also the three most action-oriented people I know. And I guarantee it's pretty much the same for you if you really think about it. You might not even know how much action those people take. You might not be that close to them, but I guarantee the most successful people you know and the most action-oriented people you know are the same damn people. That is not a coincidence. There's a reason for that. You need to really look into that reason and examine yourself and say, how much action am I taking compared to that action of that person? Don't even worry about the success, just the action. Because success comes from doing things. Everything a successful person does not work out, but they do so many things. They take so much action that eventually something works out. Do you understand? That's the way it works. It's not, I got to do the best thing, I got to do the right thing, I got to know exactly how it's done. No, you got to go do something, do a whole bunch of something. Eventually something's going to work if you keep doing it. And of course you got a brain in your head so you can look at it and see what worked, what didn't, and make the changes you need to make. This is how success is achieved. It ain't no secrets to success. Now, there are no secrets. You got to take the action. So let me give you these points here. Now that I give you all this background for 10 minutes, let me explain to you 11 minutes. Let me explain to you why you need to start taking action before you seek advice. First reason, because some of you might be thinking, well, Dre, don't I need to get the information? Don't I need to know what to expect? Don't I need to know where to go? Don't I need to know what platform to use? No, you don't need to know any of that. You don't need to know any of that, because when you begin, you'll get information. When you begin, you get experiences. And I pretty much gave you that already in the introduction, quote unquote, to this topic. Point number 2, 90% of the questions that you have before you begin will be answered once you start taking action. 90% of the questions that you have before you do something, guess what? Every single answer is in the action. Every answer to every question you have is in the action. And I tell people this is probably one of the responses that I get people, that people get the most annoyed or angry or pissed off at me when they ask me these questions. And I'm not just talking 14-year-old basketball players, I'm talking 40-year-old men. And this is just something that just recently happened. God came to me and said, well, Dre, I want to start a podcast. I just wanted to know if you had 15 minutes that we could talk on the phone so I could ask you a few questions. And I wasn't talking to this guy on the phone for 15 minutes about podcasting. So I told him, listen, when I started my podcast, I found this resource right here. It's free. I listened to this resource and it told me everything I needed to know about podcasting. Everything else about podcasting, I learned by doing it. That's what I told him. I gave him a link to the resource. Again, it's free. All he had to do was invest an hour of his time. He could have listened to it, got all the information he needed. He replied, he said, Dre, well, I know about that and I already listened to it, but I had some other questions outside of what's in there. I just wanted to ask you those. And I said, okay. I said, all right, what are your questions? This is in the email. He writes back, he asked me like 5 questions. Guaranteed, this is no joke. Every question he asked me was in that resource that I told him to go listen to, that he claimed that he listened to already. And guess what? All those answers he would have got if he would have just taken some damn action. And I told him that. He wrote back, I said, dude, every question you just asked me is right there in the resource that you claim to have listened to. And once you start taking action, you'll get the answers to these questions. He didn't reply. I think he may have been a little bit annoyed. Who knows? I don't really fucking care. The point is, 90% of your questions are answered in the action. Think about a question you got or something you didn't do yet. What's the question? Think about what that question is. Now ask yourself, if I took action, would I get the answer to that question pretty quickly? Answer is yes, guaranteed. I don't need to know what the question is. I don't even need to know what the question is. Point number 3, why you need to take action before you ask for advice. Information. You know what information does to people? When people come to you and they say, well, I just need some more information, people come to me like, Dre, well, I want to do this, but I just need a little bit more information before I do it. You know what happens when people do that? When they say, I just need some more information, I just need some advice before I take action. All I need is the answer to this question, this question, this question, and then I can take action. You know what happens when you actually give them information? You know what happens when I give people information that they claim to need before they take action? You know what happens? Do you know? Do you guess? You got to guess? This is what happens. The more information people acquire, the more questions they got. The more information you give to a person, the more questions they're going to ask before they take action. Oh, I just need these 4 questions answered, Dre, then I can take action. I answer all 4 questions. Oh, but you said this, but what about this? Oh, you said this, but what about that? You said that, but what about that? All it does is lead people to having more questions. All of you know the phrase we use for this. They call it paralysis by analysis. The more information people get, the more information they want. More advice you give a person, the more advice they quote unquote need before they take action. This is why when people come to me and they say, well, I just need some advice or some tips before I do something, I don't even reply. So if you email me asking a question like that, I'm not writing you back. So you know ahead of time, okay? Or you can just go to dreallday.com/help Or you can subscribe to this YouTube channel and watch the videos because I done covered damn near everything. People just don't want it. People don't want to do the work to even find information, but they claim to need it. Number 4, reason why you need to take action before you take advice. The person who has, actually let me say this first. Do y'all know what the law of inertia is? You ever heard of the law of inertia? I think this was Einstein who put this out there. It might have been somebody else, don't quote me. I think it was Einstein. The law of inertia states that an object in whatever state it is in will remain in that state until an outside force acts upon it to change its state. Which means this: if a ball is rolling down a hill, the only thing that's going to stop that ball from rolling down a hill is some outside force which stops it from moving. Now, if the ball gets to the bottom of the hill and it becomes a flat surface, that's an outside force because the direction it was going changed, the direction changed. That's an outside force. A person who is an action-taking individual, who's always taking action, they're always moving, doing things, they will keep doing things until an outside force causes them to stop doing things. An outside force could be them thinking, no, I need to slow down, they stop. Or somebody saying, hey, you need to chill out, and they stop. That's an outside force. Any action that you're already taking, or any state that you're already in, rather, it doesn't have to be action, because you could be in a state of doing nothing. You remain in that state until an outside force acts upon it. So people who seek information, people who seek advice, and they come to me before they do anything, usually, after I get them the advice, they keep doing the thing they were doing before they came to me, which usually is nothing. The people who seek advice before they take action usually continue doing what they were doing before they sought the advice. So the people who are doing nothing continue doing nothing. People who are doing something continue doing something. This is how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Y'all familiar with those phrases, right? This is how it works. People keep doing what they were already doing. I can't tell you how many people have come to me for advice, information. I give them the information. I follow up with them a month later, 6 months later, a year later, a week later, never hear from them again. And they haven't taken any action. I go look them up. And the thing that they claim they wanted advice for, nothing to find, nothing to see, because they didn't take any action. They got all the information that they claimed they needed before they took action, did nothing. This is what happens to people who seek advice. So hopefully you watching this changes your perspective on advice, action, information, guides, best practices, leadership, success, and everything else, and momentum. Let me recap the 4 points that I made here. And you can rewatch this video, save this video, favorite this video, add it to one of your favorite playlists, whatever you need to do. You need this video. You need this in your life. Watch it again 6 months from now. Watch it again next week. Watch it again 3 years from now. Watch this video over and over again throughout the rest of your life. I don't care how old you are, to remind yourself that the people who get ahead in life are the action-taking individuals. Look at the people you follow. Look at the famous people you follow on social media. Are they always taking action? Don't they seem to always be doing something? Oh, you say, oh, well, they can always do something because they got money and they got fame. People know, no, they were doing it before you knew who they were. That's the point. It's not that you don't put the chicken before the egg. All right, let me go over these 4 points. Number 1, you do not need more information before you take action. Most people think they need information before they take action. No, you don't. You need to begin, and when you take action, you get experiences, which leads to the information. Number 2, 90% of the questions you have before you take action will be answered once you take action. Number 3, information. When you give information to a person, all they leads to is them asking more questions, needing more information. Quote unquote, needing more information. More information you give people, the more they seek. Number 4, person who's doing nothing, seeking information, usually keeps doing what they were already doing before they came to you for information. Person who is doing nothing keeps doing nothing. Person who is doing something keeps doing something. Which one are you? And you can choose, you can change these at any point you want. Everybody work on your game. DreAllDay.com.